Hi everyone, this is Madhumita of Science Department. In our previous video, we have discussed about asexual reproduction of plants. In this class, we are going to discuss about sexual reproduction in plants. Okay, which part of the plant is responsible for this sexual reproduction? Yes, of course, flowers. Because flowers are the sexual part of the plant. If you see flowers, there are two different kinds of flowers. One is called as unisexual and another one is called as bisexual. Let's see what is called unisexual flowers. In unisexual flower, in a single flower, either the male part or the female part present. For example, you can see this here. In this flower, only the male part is present. So that's why we are calling this flower as male flower. Here, if you see here in this flower, you can see only the female part. So that's why we are calling this flower as female flower. Which means in the case of unisexual flower, either male part or female part is present in a flower. Now come to the next kind of flower. It is called as bisexual flower. In bisexual flower, both the male and female parts are present. See the male part, which is ovary, ovule. So those parts also present here and also stamen also present here. So these kind of flowers are called as bisexual flowers. Next, let's see the male part and female part of the plant. So if you see the male part closer, you can see a very small stick-like filament is present, and at the end of the filament you can see anther. This anther is also called as pollen sac because it consists of a very fine pollen grains. This anther and filament, it collectively called as stamen. Now the stamen, it is a male part of the flower. So when this anther matured, it just bursts out and it releases the very fine pollen dust, or else we can call that as pollen grains. Next, female part. If you see the female part, at the bottom you can see a bulged area. This bulged area, it is called as ovary. So inside this ovary, the ovule is present. In the ovule, the egg cells are present. Then it followed by a very thin tube and it is called as style. And it ends with an elevated structure, and this structure, it is called as stigma. So what happened while this sexual reproduction? First, the male cell, which means the pollen grains, it has to reach the female part, which means stigma. So this is what happened at the first stage. This process is called as pollination. What is pollination? The movement of the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma, it is called as pollination. So this pollination are of two kinds. One is self-pollination and the next one is cross-pollination. Let's see what are the different kinds of pollination. So the first one is self-pollination and the second one is cross-pollination. Now let's see what is called self-pollination. In self-pollination, the pollen grain of a flower, it just transfer to the stigma of the same flower. This is called as self-pollination. Now, in the case of cross-pollination, the pollen grain of a flower, it just transfer to the stigma of another flower. It is called as cross-pollination. Now, what are the conditions for this self-pollination? In which situation this self-pollination happens? So, mostly this self-pollination occurs in the bisexual flower. Why? Because both the male part and female part will be present in the same flower. So, that is the first condition. Then second thing, both the male and female part should mature at the same time. For example, if one female part has matured at one time and male part if it is matured at the different time, then it's of no use. So both the male and female part should mature at the same time. So that is the second condition. Thirdly, this stigma, it should be protected from other pollen grains. How is it possible? How can a flower protect the stigma from the other pollen grains? For that, fig, we know that fig plant, it is following a very unique feature, that is, it just be closed until the pollination completes. After the pollination completes only, the petal starts to open, which means it can protect the stigma and also the ovary and ovule from the other pollen grains. So these are all the conditions to make that self-pollination happen. So mostly this self-pollination, it is very rare case. The cross-pollination, it is quite common in every plant. Let's see the condition for the cross-pollination. If the flower is a unisexual flower, then there is no other way, because only one part will be there, either male or female. Then definitely it has to move on to the next flower. So in that condition, if the flower is unisexual, then there is a chance of cross-pollination. Then what is the second condition? This anther and stigma, if it is not matured at the same time, then no other way, it has to go to the next flower. So most of the flower, this is what happening. The flowers, which means male part and female part, it won't get matured at the same time. It matured at the different times. So that's why the pollen grains, it just being passed to some other flowers. Okay, let's see how this transference, which means pollination, happens. So in the case of self-pollination, it is very easy, because this pollen grains and also the stigma which is present in the same flower. But in the case of cross-pollination, it is somewhat difficult, because it has to pass from one place to another place, which means one flower to another flower. So what are the factors which help in the pollination? So let's see that. The first and foremost factor, it is insect. Insects are helping a lot in the pollination. How? We know that very well. The flowers are very colorful part. Why the flowers are very colorful? To attract the insects. Why it need to attract the insect? For the transference of pollen grains, it need the help of insects. So that's why it has to attract the insect. Okay, after getting attract, what the insects can get from the flower? Yes, of course, it can get nectars. Nectars, it is a sweet fluid which is present in the flower. So the insect come and contact the flower for sucking that nectars from the flower. So while it is doing so, the pollen grains, which means the pollen dust, it will stick on to their legs. When it passes to another flower, it will be dusted off in the stigma part. So this is how insects are helping in pollination. Okay, what are the other factors? Very important factor is wind. What is called wind? Wind is moving air, it is called as wind. How wind is helping in pollination? So in some kind of plants like grass, maize, this wind only helping in pollination. How is that possible? So these kind of plants, it produces very enormous amount of pollen grains. Why it has to produce enormous amount? You just think about that. The wind can blow anywhere. Okay, we cannot assume in which way it will blow. Okay, so that's why this pollen grains, it will be produced in enormous amount. Then next, this pollen grains, it will be very weightless and dry, and it is very easy to carry. So why it has to be weightless? Yes, of course, because wind has to carry that pollen grains to the next flower, isn't it? So that's why it has been very dry and also very lightweighted. So as a result of that, these pollen grains, it is being taken with the help of wind and it reaches the another flower. Okay, so if you see the stigma of these kind of flowers, it has a feathery substance. Why? What is the need of that feathery substance? We know that the wind is carrying the pollen grains. While it carry the pollen grains, with the help of this feathery substance, it has been catch up the pollen grains. Okay, so these are all the features the plant has to do that cross pollination. Okay, now the pollination process completes, which means the pollen grain, it is being reached the stigma. After that, what will happen? So the next process, it is called as fertilization. We cannot say that only one pollen grain alone can reach the stigma. It may be 2 or 3 or 4, even more than that. Pollen grains can reach the stigma. But what matter is which pollen grain can grow the pollen tube so fast and reach the ovule. That matters. Okay. Now let's see. Now this pollen grain, it reaches at the top of the pistil, which means on the stigma. So after it reaches there, it start to rise a thin tube like structure, and this structure, it is called as pollen tube. If you see at the end of the pollen tube, the male cells are present. It continuously grows and it reaches the ovule part. So in the ovule, the egg cells are present. So here the egg cells and also the male cell, it just fuse together. As a result of that, it produces zygote. So after fertilization process completes, this ovary, it is being turned into fruit part, and the ovule, it just changes into seed. When the fertilization process over, this ovule, it just turns into seed, and the ovary part, it turns into fruit. So at the end of that, the flower, it changes into fruit. So inside the fruit, we have seeds. From the seed, a new plant grows. So till now, we have discussed about sexual reproduction in plants. So this is how the plant produces seeds. From the seed, a new generation plant can come arise. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next video.